Hello everyone and welcome to a new series on our channel. What we are going to be doing here is going through all of the tier 5 POIs and kind of go through them layer by layer just to get the gist of where the zombies are spawning, where a lot of those fetch locations are typically at, and kind of just a how-to guide of clearing the POI in one go. So we're starting off today with the Shotgun Messiah. The Shotgun Messiah is under Factory Large 02. The 01 is the Shamway, and then there are a few other POIs that we'll talk about later. But basically, I'm just going to go floor by floor here, and then I will also show a little bit of like a slower walkthrough. So let's go ahead and just get started. Alright, so we have our floor 1 of the Shotgun Messiah. This is by far the biggest area to have to clear. And you can kind of see with the picture, there are some sleeper volumes laying about. But basically, the entrance is just right over here. And in that, there's a couple of spawns, and then you kind of make your way around the area. And I can go ahead and show you the clip right here. So give me just a second. Okay, basically, we start at the front door of the Shotgun Messiah. There is going to be a wall safe just behind this counter here, and that's always locked. All the wall safes in here are going to be locked. Once you unlock that, there's going to be loot there. There's also, typically, that one's a working vending machine. You can see some sleeper volumes here, there, and there are a couple up at the top, but I did cut this out, so you can't actually see those sleepers, but they'll typically fall from the roof. There are usually only 2 spawns in that area, so you don't have to worry about getting overwhelmed there. Then you go ahead and go through this window, out this hallway. There are no zombies in this hallway, so this is a really, really good spot to kite them if you get a little bit overwhelmed. Now, once you get into this room, typically you will find 1 zombie chilling in this room. This room also has a couple of boxes, but then there's some sleepers that are kind of hidden behind all of these pallets here and there. You'll only usually get maybe like 10 or 12 in this room, but it is a really big room, so there are typically places where if you get caught in a corner that you can get overwhelmed quite easily, which is why over in that direction it is a little bit easier to guide them that way. There is a door on that other side just over there, and that is locked, so you really don't have to worry about it. And then once you get into this room here, there is a couple of spots. There are a couple spots where the zombies can spawn on your left, and then you can go forward here. There's some sleepers over here as well. You'll typically only get maybe 3 or 4 in this area. And then once you go up here, you will typically have 1 hiding behind this pallet right here. But otherwise, there's maybe like 2 or 3. But if you break this pallet and go down, there's actually an area right past all of this stuff. There's no zombies down here, so you don't have to worry about getting jumped. But there is a hidden stash here, and then if you keep going this way, you will actually find that this leads out. There's a couple of like trash cans here and there. There's usually a book bag or a duffel bag or something like that that's chilling in this corner right here. And then you can actually swim out to the area. And then there's usually that ladder on the very far right that you'll be able to climb up, out, and out, back up. But typically it's easier just to go back exactly the way you came, because jumping up ladders, as you can kind of see, jumping up ladders while you're in underwater is a little bit difficult. So I'm just going to go ahead and use God mode to get up here. And then this hallway, you'll want to clear before you go down there, because typically when you break that pallet, you will wake quite a few of them up. There's usually maybe like 2 or 3 of them past here. And then, of course, we get to one of our first fetch locations. This is going to be one of the locations where if your fetch quest is on the first floor, that's where it's going to end up being. And then we can go ahead and get into this room here. Once you go, there's typically 1 behind the door. There might be one behind like any of these pallets, but again, only 2 of them typically spawn. Now, you can go here through these 2 broken down wood panels and then climb up this ladder. We'll get to that in just a second. But there are 3 hidden Shotgun Messiah boxes up there. I don't typically ever recommend doing that if you're doing a clear quest. But if you just want to clear the first floor, get all the loot that's on the first floor, you can go ahead and do that. Once you go through this room, there might be 1 or 2 of them that are chilling right next to you. Typically, you won't find any here. You might get one like right over around here, but they'll usually all be spawning right here. And you'll usually have them crept up against those frames. And then in this door, there's usually maybe like 1. Sometimes you get 2 of them that spawn in here. But there are a ton of crates that you can loot in there. Once we get into this room here, there's a gun safe. And then you also, if you go through this door, you will have a fetch right here. If your fetch is on the first floor, that's another location where you can get that. And then we'll go into this hallway. Now this hallway is going to be one of the choke points here, where there are a ton of zombies that'll come at you. There's all of these different spawn locations, and then above, that's all of the possibilities where they can spawn. And usually it picks about half of those. So, again, like maybe 20 zombies coming at you right here. And then if you're lucky, you won't wake these ones up. But there's not typically too many of them in this area. And then once you clear that, you can get up to the next floor, and we'll get to that here in just a second. Okay, so this is floor number 2. This is exactly where you started from that floor. And then at that point, this place isn't too big. There is an area over here, and then you just get to the businessman over here, go straight through, and then there is the area over here. Now there is also a small area here, which I don't think is shown. Yeah, actually it is. It is on the correct floor there. But the lower floors are definitely the highest volume. They have the highest volume of zombies in them, just because this is a very, very big POI. But let's go ahead and go straight into the clear. All right, right when you walk up, there's going to be about 4 or 5 of them that are chilling right here. Again, the game does not pick every single one of these. It usually picks like half of them. You will have a lot of bird locations up here. There are maybe like 7 or 8 different possibilities for a bird to spawn. These glass panes here are breakable, so just be careful if you're down here. If you aggro the people at the top, they will come down on you at very weird angles. And then each one of these panels has a chance to have a zombie in them. Typically, I usually only have 1 or 2 of them that's actually spawn one. But then once you go up here, there's a couple of other spots behind here that you can't always see. And those I find are pretty rare to actually spawn one in. Or if they aren't, then they usually get aggroed when you aggro the ones at the very beginning. Now, then you're going to go along this ledge. The birds apparently have a switch light on and off, apparently. But there's 3 different spawn locations for each one of these corners for a bird. Typically, I don't get all of those bird spawns either. There's also a couple of birds over there, but you shouldn't actually aggro those quite yet. And then there's 1 more bird location inside the building. These are all going to be businessmen here. If you can go ahead and look at all of the different places that they can spawn. There is an actual path, as you can kind of see through it, so if you don't have to jump. So you can just kind of walk through all of here and kind of grab all the zombies along the way. But again, typically the second you step in here, you're going to actually wake all of them up. So you can also just jump over these desks, which, unless you've got a broken leg, it probably will be okay. But then, once you get into this room, there's 1 zombie that is always in this room. This one is a guaranteed spawn. And it just depends on what it is. And then once you get in here, there's a few spawns here. And they're typically behind these little vats. And usually only get like 1 or 2 per thing of here. Again, about half. And now, if you actually go and this panel right here, if you break that, that is a fetch. There's a bunch of these littered around the second floor. But there's some more inside of that area. There's some more out here. Typically, you'll actually get all of those in that little area. And then, once you go through this door, there are Typically, every single one of these as well will spawn. And these are all going to be burning zombies. And then you will have to break through this and not accidentally break that block. But there is a door that is locked that will have 2 guaranteed spawns in it. And then there's some like medical piles and stuff like that in there. But once you go through here, this is another pretty big choke point. There are a lot of zombies in here. Most of these actually will spawn something. And they'll typically all, again, aggro the second you walk into the room. And then there is a door on that side, but you don't have to break through it. You can just walk up this way. These ones, typically you'll get most of those. And there are some zombies on the other side that we'll see here in just a second. But if you pop through this window, you can look and there are birds. You will get most of these. Typically about 3 out of the 6. Again, about half. If you jump through here, you can see there's more zombies here. You won't get all of these. Typically that's about half as well. And then you just jump straight up into here. And now this is going to be another choke point area, but it also leads into the next floor. And so we'll get to that here in just one moment. Okay, so this is the 3rd floor of the Shotgun Messiah, just taken from above. You start out here, and then of course there's a little bit of stuff that you will have to get through. And then there's going to be a little area that you go outside, and then go back inside, outside, inside. And this one just weaves kind of all the way through the entirety of the building. And this area, there aren't a ton of zombies. There's just a lot of little rooms that you can find yourself getting caught in. So let's go straight into the clear. So this is where you left off. And those zombies will typically jump down, but the way up is just jumping on those pallets. Again, if you can sneak kill as many of those, that would be fantastic. But you get into this area, this is a huge choke point here, but there are typically quite a few zombies here. You can see them kind of just chilling everywhere, and especially behind that area. So it's a lot of places where you can kind of get overwhelmed very quickly. And again, once you cross over this area, you can see quite a few of them going, like hiding behind the little pallets. A lot of those you can see, and you can peek your head out and get a little bit of some sneak damage off on them. But if you go into this room's actually clear. This room is safe. There's no possible zombie spawns there. But the second you get out, there's a very high chance that you will get quite a few birds along the way. Not all of these will spawn. Typically like 2, which is a lot less than that like 50% average. And then this is also where those 2 birds from before come at you. Once you get into this room, there are a couple of zombies here on this railing. You will have to be a little bit careful because the railing is a little bit glitchy, so you might end up falling off. And then in this area, these will typically already be aggroed the second that you walk through that door, and they'll all usually choke up around here. So you should be able to just kind of blast through them there. And like again, all of these on the staircase are typically done. Now there is a little area just down here that I can show you. There is a proper way to get in through there, and I will show you that later. But this has a hidden stash inside of it, and once you get through, that's about all there is. There's nothing really extra to it. But then once we get back out of here, you can go up the stairs, if I can get out of here, and we'll just go ahead and God mode out of here. And then once we go through this door, this area is clear. You do not have to worry about anything coming at you right at this moment. But what you will have to worry about is jumping into that room. Now there is an actual way to cheese this a little bit. All of these zombies, with the exception of businessmen, they're typically all the lab assistants or the researchers. And if you stand here, they'll go at you. But then the second you jump down, all the lab assistants will actually go to that door instead of coming straight for you. Now the businessmen will actually pathfind towards you correctly, so it gives you a small chance to and I break the fetch quest there, but it's okay. And then once you get through here, there are some birds. Typically you can sneak kill all of these and then just go straight on your way through here. Now once you get through here, you will have to be a little bit careful. The second you step on the plates here, they will break. But there is a guaranteed zombie in here. And you can go around or you can just go straight through. And then there's a guaranteed 2 in here. And then once we get into this next area, this is another huge choke point where there are just a ton of zombies. And I believe there is something, yeah, there is another fetch right there. And there is, like, you have to drop down into it or you have to go up through the other way. But this is another huge choke point here. This typically has a lot of runners, a lot of kind of everything. And it's really hard to go back because of the fact that that area before kind of broke. There is a gun safe here, and there is another fetch location right here. But once you clear these out, it should be relatively safe. There is another area, and we'll get to that next level here in just a second. Alright, now we have floor 4. We're getting very close to the top here, so there are actually a very limited amount of zombies on this floor. The only spawns that you're going to get are actually right through here. And this is where we left off. You just go straight through this room and you go out. So let's go straight into it. Alright, this is where we left off. And again, you can kind of see some zombies that are about, once you step up here, they'll all kind of aggro on you. They'll all drop down. And then you have a little bit of help with the spikes here. You'll typically find 1 or 2 in here if you're going through it fast enough. But if you're aggroed them when you were at the bottom, then they will already have made it to that rail. But then you just hop out that window, go through this way, and then head out in through here. Then once you get through here, I'm just going to go ahead and God mode just to speed it up just a tiny bit. There are no zombies here, so you really don't have to worry about too much. There is a backpack over there if you can get to it. Typically, I just leave it because it's not really worth breaking your leg for, unless you want to frame over there. But as you can kind of see, that this area is kind of like a breather point, because this next area is a huge choke point. There's not a super easy way to get up here, and you will have 15 or so zombies that are coming at you. This is all the guaranteed, like, not all guaranteed. Again, about half of these are going to be picked. But the second you step out that door, that first zombie will alert all the other ones. And then once you go through there, there are some more over here. Typically, these ones will be whacking at the wall, so you don't have to worry about them coming over. But then once you come over this way, this is a fetch quest location here. You can actually get to it through this loose panel. And then once you step up, there is another area with usually maybe like 1 bird. Sometimes I've had 2 to maybe like 3, but it could also have been a bird that I missed. But you can actually jump on this railing to up here. There's usually about 3 or 4 of them up there. And then, again, you can go down below and get the fetch quest for this one as well. And then there's also a fetch quest right there. And then this one has a zombie in it. So if you go back up and then go straight through, you can actually get him from there. And then there will be one just at the top here, but this is the next level, so we'll get to that in just a second. So you cannot actually see where I left off because it is a little bit obstructed. There is one more smaller area before you actually get to the main top floor. But that was kind of hovering in between the 4th and the 5th floor. Kind of didn't really know which one to put it in. So I'm just going to throw it in with this one. Again, you can't see where we left off, but this is the main final floor. You can already see that the main loot is up at the top. There is also another tower that has some boxes on it. But let's go straight into the clear. Alright, this is where we left off. There is a zombie spawn over here. Usually that one will aggro if you kill the one that was in that little bin. And then this is what I like to call the murder hole. There are a ton of zombies in here. You will actually get just about every single one of these. And you can hug this ladder, and they won't really get to you. But if you want to just blast through it, then you can just blast through it. Then we'll get to this little silo here. This is actually going to be a safe area. And it will be a pretty safe area until you get to the bigger rooms. There's one more zombie here that we will see in just a second. But if you go along this railing, again, you have to be kind of careful not to go too fast because you might fly off the side because the railings are a little bit glitched. There's that zombie. There is no way back up from here. So this is the biggest choke point unless you get a frame or like a ladder or something like that. But you'll jump up here and then up this ladder. And you will typically get about 30 to 50% of these spawns. And these are going to be like the higher tier spawns. You're almost guaranteed to get ferals, almost guaranteed to get like radiateds and cops and all of that other stuff during the later stages of the game. But if you jump down through here, once that's done, you'll actually just go up this staircase here real quick. And then I don't think there's anything down here. No, there's nothing underneath that panel. And then you can go ahead and get to this final area. This is the last area of zombies. A whole lot of birds. And then there's also a chance for a zombie to spawn in that little room that we just looked over. But again, maybe about 50% of these you'll get. Most of them are going to be birds. But again, they might not all be birds. And here's that one. And he'll typically either whack at that glass a little bit or he'll jump straight out of the window. And then we'll go to this area first. This has a shotgun crate at the bottom. Also has a shotgun crate at the top. And then even still, after you go out here, up the ladder, and there's one more shotgun crate there. And now the big loot, you can actually get without framing. You can parkour over there. If you go up this staircase, you can actually sprint jump, and you will be able to make it to that area. So we'll go ahead and do that here real quick. And then once you do that, you can just go straight up the ladder. There's a hardened chest, there's a few shamway chests, and a few, I think they might just all be shotgun crates. Yes, they are all shotgun crates, a munitions box, and a weapons bag. You saw me jumping on there because the shamway actually has a plate just like that one, and it will collapse if you jump on it. So you have to be careful of that one. But you don't have to worry about it at the Shotgun Messiah. But that's the clear. That's the whole entire clear. I am working on a speed run of the Shotgun Messiah. My current time is 7 minutes 58 seconds, and that's like with a 100-something game stage, and then I've got like a level 6 auto shotgun and then a level 6 AK, which I think I switched out for an M60 recently. So if I get a really good time, I'm going to post that video. It will be a separate video if you do want to see a really quick clear of that. And then if you do have it, if there was anything that I missed, any tips, tricks that you'd think that I should know, definitely leave that in the comment section below. But I do appreciate everybody for coming by this video. It is a kind of a newer video on my channel, and I hope to do more of these. I'd hope to do like every single tier 5 POI that I can. But I'm going to end the episode off here. If you guys liked the video, feel free to leave a like down below. If you really enjoyed it, feel free to subscribe. Anyways, thanks everybody for popping by. Catch y'all next time.